So, welcome everyone to the fourth episode of The Other Side of 001 live talk with artists. And today we have a special guest, like always, Tímea. Welcome, Tímea. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Thank you to coming here to Prenzlauer to my art studio. And thank you also for the invitation of the exhibition. I am very happy to be part of this show. And yeah, I hope we can now talk about the details.
Cool.
The experience that we took of this show, actually. But it was your idea.
Sure,
So
sure.
maybe about something that...
Yeah, this exhibition was one of exceptional exhibition we did with Mayer Pavilion. Taking consideration mainly two topics, which are artists reacting to this pandemic, lockdowns, and artists practicing form of art that are mostly attempt to healing the soul of humanity and attempt to healing the self or the society. I mean, we're living in a tough time, we know. We are seeing the end of one paradigm, which was trust in science, trust in politics. Never trust in politics really, but but the science was a big trust. I mean, we all believe in science. We all rely on the scientific technological development. But now we see another paradigm taking place, which is more related to human soul, which is more accurate to the human, to the how we function in this complex mechanism, which is society. It's not completely technological, and it's not, in my idea, is not completely explained by logical procedure and theoretical theoretical explanation. Human soul, human itself, is much more than the component of its part, and this is what makes us so interesting. This is what makes us special in a way. And somehow I think art in this time where everything seems to fall down, our economy seems to fall down, art really can tackle this problem, can tackle aspect of society that are not completely shown, and can speak about things that are getting into dark taboo.
Yeah. I think it's two sides always. I mean, first of all, of course, with the pandemic, in these 2 years, my life is completely changed. I mean, it's a little bit broke, because as to be an artist, for me, it's also meaning that, every month I'm visiting a country because I have a show, I'm traveling a lot, we have the opening, we have the fun, we have the art fair, we have everything. And then suddenly it's just finished everything, and I find myself kind of sitting at home. And it's, of course, and even usually if I have a show, I know I have to be a kind of datum ready with my show, and then it will be show, and then after the show maybe I will be invited in other exhibitions. So I was working before, and of course when it's no possibility to show my work, so that's why it's so interesting that you say that, because if we as an artist can be not showing our works, it's a kind of to be like that, exactly, no? So in one hand, of course, it was very hard to psychically, to thinking, coming to my studio, working every day, and then thinking, okay, but why I do this, 1,000 or million of hours spending here alone and doing something that is actually, I'm not sure if it's ever will be showing. because if it will be ever like another time when it's coming exhibition back. But of course it was mostly in the beginning, and then it's very hard. I think to be an actor or a dancer, it's probably the same. Everyone who is working with publicum, it's very difficult, no? I mean, maybe other people working in the office, the life is changed, but my life is like completely. So it's like in like 100%.
Yeah,
no?
completely
And
devotional.
this is the things that it was very hard. The positive thing, I think, that finally I have a time like as never ever. So anyway, I was also doing in the past very time-consuming works. So in this time, I can really kind of without a pressure to use the time and working like on works which is taking ages, which before I never have the time because I was traveling a lot and then working and a lot of other stuff, teaching and whatever, no? But in the pandemic, the positive thing to have this time for things that I don't have the time for the last 20 years. So, yeah. So actually, one of the time-consuming work we can see here, it's called like fragile juncture, and I started with the pandemic. The idea is coming already from before, but before I didn't have the time to do it. So I already, when the migrant crisis came in 2015, I was also hearing, I mean, also the right-wing movement. So it's everything started in or it's getting more kind of hard, or when it's 2015 coming the migrants from Syria, and then these movements like the right-wing movements getting stronger and stronger, and that started in the beginning I hear more about the Hungarian things because I am Hungarian, of course, but then Poland and the other Eastern European country, and I really started to do a research. If it's like other countries too have kind of anti-EU European Union movement, and I find out that was very, make me very scared. That is actually every 27 country I find out about like pictures about this protest opposite of EU, or it's like anti-Islam or anti-migrants, and even like Italy, no? Because I speak also Italian. We could also do this interview. I could.
Lovely. We speak
could
Italian.
probably speak better in Italian like in English. But when Salvini in 2016 didn't let the migrant kind of leave the boat. I don't know if you remember 2016, like sub-Saharan arriving to Italy, and then they spend kind of weeks still in the boat, and then in the end I think they go to Malta. The idea was here I looking for in the Google like real images about this kind of anti-EU manifestation and demos. And I started to draw on them like millimeter to millimeter, because in the beginning I drawing with a normal pencil, but it was very, not enough dark. So fundamentally I did it 2 times, and the second time with like this millimeter pencil. So I took ages really. I take 1 year to draw everything.
Wow.
And of course, it's also very uncomfortable working in a big, because then you have to be on the knee like 8 hours.
Sure.
And after I wanted to kind of give this idea about the fragility, so I wanted if it's something like extremely stretching. My idea was to do the draw and then give someone who can sew and sew me kind of around and make this hole. But it was everything closed, so actually I learned to sew, to do it myself. But I also very like to make everything like handmade with my hands. And then of course it was crazy. After 1 year work, I was thinking I should cut now, because the idea was between these European countries, because of this splitting, you have you know, the border is like cutting all, and then it's only this thin thread, which is like keeping the country together. Yeah. But of course, these other forces
wanted to pull it out.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So the lockdown was a was a good time for you to take this work and work on it and intensely. Yeah. In other situation, the lockdown was a sort of trauma for many artists, for many people around the globe, and especially when we see some footage of the first weeks of the lockdown in March 2020, where there was this common global hysteria across the world about toilet paper. That most of researchers in social behavior named as a pandemic, the toilet paper hysteria, coronavirus pandemic hysteria, I mean there was many explanation about how and why people craving so much to buy toilet paper. And you did this work titled Stay at Home, which is a bird cage covered with toilet paper. And I mean, you criticize this hysteria taking place in the first few weeks before, few weeks after the lockdown, and really like explain our consumism, stress, consumism, behavior, compulsive way to tackle like an unconscious fear, you know. How do you relate with this common behavior coming out during the March 2020? How do you explain this?
For me, it was something that I could not believe it, because I really grew up in the communist time, and the shops was kind of empty. And then if you have like product, you have one kind of, or even nothing. And then maybe, all my childhood, the Christmas was about like banana and mandarin, which I see one time a year, when my grandfather queuing 4 hours in front of the supermarket in December, which was like minus 20 degrees, to get 1 kilo of banana. So for me, these things that to have toilet paper or not, it's a little bit like really about the Western society, no? Because the rest of the world, kind of this toilet paper, it's a luxury thing. And people dying of hunger, and then was thinking people like fighting in the supermarket, other people don't have to eat. So for me it was something very incredible. And also that the price really getting higher and higher. So I was this funny idea that I will buy toilet paper for an expensive price, but then it's give kind of value of my artwork, because if I did in the time when the material was very expensive, then maybe I can give it to the cost of the value of like, it's like, is it not the normal toilet paper? They are the special one during the lockdown, but it was like gold, no?
Yeah, we saw many experiment, many people buying a stock of toilet paper and selling in eBay.
Yes.
Very expensive prices.
This idea was kind of prison of the capitalism, and the experience to be close in a home, like in a huge blockhouse or whatever, no?
Sure.
So this idea of this toilet paper became a kind of, it's also like to very slow, because also that one taking ages. I really can do like, it's very, very slow. It's also very time consuming to do that one. And how the time goes, like, and I finish this work, it seems that getting always more inside in this prison, and then get more close into it. When it's ready, then you are completely in prisons.
Sure.
with the time as passing that you are sitting at home alone. So it's
it seems that you taking this taboo and showing the real aspect of our society, because taboos most of the time want to hide our true fear, and we used to avoid certain discussion, especially with that topic of death and and the topic of toilet paper also. I mean, it's very meaningful because I connect the toilet paper to the softness of this luxury Western living way of living, and in the time of crisis, in the time of uncertainty, it's the only thing that you can buy, a couple of euro, and you have a huge package of toilet paper. So it's a kind of release some tension by buying the toilet paper. So also funny to see how we react in situation of stress, situation of huge stress, and also situation in which you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen in the next few hours. Exactly when all the world seems to be divided, and with the project of Mayer Pavilion, the purpose of this project was to connect artists and community together, because we see in artists the future, because the artists can speak about taboo very easily, and connect also people, other discipline, music, performance, and so I'm very happy that you accepted this collaboration with us. I want to ask you maybe the last question, or maybe the last two. Something about your background, like you studied in Venice, and then
I was born in Budapest, and then I went to studying to Vienna. Like I applied for Academy of Fine Art without to actually know. I realized the first time after that I was accepted that I am a kind of not European one, which was for me totally funny, because I used to live in Hungary and I always thinking that Hungary is a European country. So when I hear the first time, I was not very informed. I didn't know about visa, or I didn't know even if I need a permission of stay. I even don't know what that should be in the beginning. And I was very surprised that I am kind of not a European one. So, it's only about, Budapest is 3 hours from Vienna, and from the border, it's like Hungary, it's like Vienna is like 1 hour from Hungary. So it's, and then it's of course this experience that I was like, beside that I was taking from the university, but I didn't have a visa, so I was a kind of migrant, and then actually also like without paper for 2 years. And it was very hard, and then it was only the beginning, because then I moved to Italy, and it's the same, like because it's somebody like studying a university, it's not means that you get the visa. For the visa, as a student, I should show a lot of money in my bank account, but I didn't have any bank account, even not have money.
Okay.
And that's why it was impossible for me almost to get this visa. And that's why, I'm not really interested in the beginning of politics, but then I say always that politics started to interesting about me. And and then I just started to do a kind of artwork to telling about this difficulty, to be like like an extra-communitarian, like not from the EU, and all this losing like 10 years to doing always new hundred of documents, which I also showing in my project. I started in 2007. It's called Time Lost, and this is about this time-consuming process to applying for new visas, and then I started to embroider all my real documents, I mean passport, my permit of stay, and I started to embroider or small letter and stamps and signature, which is sometimes almost impossible. So it's something like in the reality that you have to do it, but you can't do it because for one thing is missing other 4, and for other 4 things is missing other 2, and for that 2 it's missing the other 3.
And it's where this work, this couple of frame.
Yeah, I mean also this project, I'm every single piece I'm working kind of 1 year, and then just bringing them everywhere. If I'm traveling or wherever, I'm sitting in a train or in a airplane. It's now a little more complicated because I need a scissor. But I really working on one of these like 1 year. I have each year finish one. I also have other 2 there. I mean, they are all the real documents from the past, but I want to coming until today. But because I am also like a German citizen, also that was a big process of a lot of documents. But as it's take 1 year of this, we are coming today in the next 20 years.
Yeah, before you finish, before you get the visa, you will do it, other 3 of those.
Yes, so, yeah.
And what is this? Is this the external
this
of
is
your
very
pass?
important because this is, actually my pass, yes. I went to Morocco before that Hungary came to the EU. And I didn't thinking on it that I need a visa, so I went to Morocco because I was in the Spain. I was thinking next time go to Africa, and then when I wanted to come back in the EU, I just recognized that I don't have any visa because I didn't apply for a visa because I know I won't get it because I didn't have the money to show which one. No, so I was in the Spain without visa, and then I was thinking on the border, oh my God, they won't let me into Europe anymore. And it was like 2 lines. It was like European countries and then not European ones. I put myself into the queue of European countries. And when I arrived to the officer, asked, but Hungary is in the EU? And I say, yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
This is like my ID from as a student.
And how does your culture relate to the process of doing this, your works?
You mean like embroidery?
Yeah, sewing.
It was very important in
colors,
Hungarian culture of embroidery, and I learned somehow from my grandmother when I was a child. But after I never practicing, and then I just kind of experiment myself how to do it. It was at least so impossible, like do the visa at itself. So it was like something that I cannot do it, but I have to. So it was also a kind of a fight for me to try to embroidery, even if I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of learning by doing, and that's why give back this idea that, I mean, that's the kind of the police or like the politician says, I have to do in that way, I can change anything, like every letter like have to be that they asking, no? And I can change anything on it. And I'm just following the rules when I do this embroidery. I mean the rules that as a migrant kind of. And when it's done, it's already over. So the funny thing is that after 1 year, when I'm finishing like an embroidery and also like the real visum, it was also maximum for 1 year. Sometimes it's only 3 months, sometimes 6 months. So when you're finishing the process, it's already done, and then you can throw it, and then you need a new visa to apply.
Sure. Yeah, it seems like a sort of a bureaucratic prey, this act of sewing and reproduce this document is like an act of prey, ritualistic prey, to be accepted. First as a citizen, second as an artist, third as a, whatever, like a soul. But somehow we all want to be accepted, and nowadays we see a lot of friction, separation to create distance between one and another. Just having like a slightly different political idea of what is happening right now can bring can bring distance between two individuals. You know, we really are in a strong tension during this time. And I think, you know, art can deal with this without taking one side or the other side, but can take a more wide overview of what is happening. It's not just, okay, is it right? Is right the lockdown? Is not right the lockdown? Is you know, complotistic theory right or wrong? It's not like about that. It's taking the reality from more wide perspective, and I think you are doing that quite nicely. And maybe the last question. Can you speak about this work? Is one of your recent work?
It was like the Biennial of Serbia, and I was invited in 2016. And this work is coming about my. The work is coming about my anger that for the Hungarian government decided Mr. Orbán to build a wall to keep refugees outside of European Union and Hungary. And I was just speaking, I mean, very ironically, I take the symbol of the European Union, which is always this welcome. I mean, you have in all the border. And I transform in a kind of weapon, because these stars, it's like very sharp. And if you touch them, it's cut your hand. And it was this idea, like, I mean, of this idea to welcome in the Europe, but only selected people, not everyone. Only if you have the request that they ask you from the right nation, and then you can come. But if you are not, kind of they treat people like kind of in the circus, you have to hoop in this, kind of jump on it, and then you cut yourself. And the first idea was even that the drawing with a fire, I don't know, maybe we can show it later. Yeah. Like it's giving a fire of this, and like for animal in the circus, like you try to jump through it, and then you are inside. So this welcome for me was very ironical, because it's really not for everyone, only a few privileged persons actually. And I actually show it in Serbia in a very funny way. All my work was like weapons, like was the knife that I did this EU flag, and it was like the Japanese shuriken stars, like also another kind of EU flag. I mean, the same idea. And I send everything by a kind of mid-far car. Every artwork put in a car, like hide it, and then bring in the in the border without to show them, and back, which was very crazy. So we were just afraid that all the artwork will taken from the border control, which is very hard between Hungary and Serbia.
There is this violence mystified in a very organic and beautiful way. This beautiful star, very geometrically cut.
I wanted to say that everything I doing myself. So I could also things maybe do with computer and cut however, but I did it with my hands. So I went to the metal workshop. I cut it all the stars with my hand, and I cleared them, and I even like did the stative and
the welding
and welding myself everything. Because I really love this idea of kind of handmade things. So I find much more interesting if as an artist I touch everything with my hand. I doing myself. If I would give someone who could make it like more professionally, but it would be not my one. So I also love this way the suffering to be ready with this artwork.
The making.
The making process, the suffering, and then to working in thousands of hours or million of hours in one things.
Which is something very special in a time where artists also getting, when some artists getting big and famous, they start to be in this consumist chain of production where they're just the architect of their project.
Yeah, because they pay 100 people each month. They have to be ready in a very quick time, all artwork. But I really love this idea that I'm doing everything myself.
I hope you will keep this and artwork making, or even when you are super mega famous artist.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining. This interview was lovely and was very interesting to hear about your artwork, not just having it in the exhibition. I mean, we all felt the energy of this artwork, capable of connecting also other artists. I think each sculpture and each work of yours it has this energy, even because it's made by hands, it's made by
and it's
effort.
about my experience.
It's your experience.
It's very personal. It's my artwork, very personal. Of course,
and I think connect most of the artists. Coming from outside to in Europe, they can relate very much. Thank you.
Thank you to coming.